I know, but I think we can start on time. I think that has just gone live. So welcome everyone to this final closing session of IDCC21. And we hope you've had a really good day today. We know it's been a completely different IDCC experience for everyone involved. Despite the fact that we haven't been in the same room, I think we've seen some really good discussions. People have been using the chat and the Q&A and the breaks. So it's been great to see that there has been some interactions, even though we've been physically different and separate. So I think, looking back to this time last year, we were all in Dublin, in mingling and having dinner together and drinks, and it seems like a lifetime away now. And hopefully by this time next year, we'll have another face-to-face and in-person IDCC. But for this final session of the day, it's going to be a short session. I think many people are probably feeling a little bit tired, especially those of you who are joining from time zones where the timing is much, much earlier than it is for us. But what we'll do in this session is we will have the award for Best Poster, which is always a thrilling moment of the conference. And in trying to keep some of our traditions alive from previous IDCCs, we have our usual wrap up from Cliff Lynch, Director of the Coalition for Networked Information. And then finally, Kevin will take over and give a few closing remarks. We're not entirely sure if we'll have time for questions and answers, but by all means, please feel free to put questions in the Q&A tab or put them into the chat. And just a final reminder, you've heard this several times already today, but if you're not speaking, please make sure that your mic is off and that your camera is off. Just so that the audio quality is as good as possible. And with that, I think it will be time to hand over to Kevin to give us the news on who has won the Best Poster Award for this year. So over to you, Kevin.
Great. Thanks very much. Give me a moment as I find the appropriate things to share. So hopefully you can see it's awards time now. We've got 3 awards to hand out this year. And we're going to begin with Best Paper. And that is to George Alter, Jack Gager, Pascal Heiss, Carson Hunter, Sandy Ionescu, Jeremy Iverson, H.V. Jagadish, Jared Lyle, Alexander Muller, Sigby Nordgaard, Ornolf Ridnes, Dan Smith, and Yu Song. And apologies if I got any of those names wrong, capturing data provenance from statistical software. So congratulations to all of you. I hope you're here to hear the good news. But next is the award for Best Poster. I'm glad to see lots of you took the opportunity to vote. We took a snapshot as of 3 p.m. today, when the votes, 3 p.m. local time here, when the votes closed. There was a clear winner. That was Adam Vilesmore for Fair Persistent Connections. Congratulations to Adam. And finally, the experiment this year, given that we were on an online platform, it gave us the opportunity to do a bit of gamification. We're not sure we can take this too seriously, but there is an award for the person who engaged most with the event. There's a clear winner, again, a snapshot as of 3 p.m. today. Amy Nurnberger. Congratulations to all of you. And all of you will get a certificate to commemorate your win and free registration to next year's IDCC. And for George and your colleagues, you're going to have to work out how you're going to divide that up. I'm afraid it's just one between all of you. But congratulations, everyone. So that's it on the awards. And now I'm going to hand over to Cliff, who always does a great job, I think, of pulling out themes, making us think about the event in a new way. So take it away, Cliff.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm so sorry we can't all be together in person. I've seen many comments in the chat about that, and I know I'm speaking for a lot of us, hoping that next year we'll be back together to do this in person. I just want to make a few observations, and I'm going to be a bit briefer than usual because the conference was a little briefer, and I've also had a little less time to digest everything. I got up rather early this morning because I'm on the East Coast of the United States, but I got a wonderful reward for it. I really think the opening keynote for this conference was quite extraordinary, and really it gave us a look at the governance and curation issues surrounding really what I would characterize as a very different kind of data than the sort we're used to thinking about. We spend so much time with scientific data and make arguments for the openness of that data within the bounds of things like personal confidentiality or even cultural heritage data. The data that Tetaka talked about, gave us an insight into, was really what I would characterize, for want of a better term, as sort of living culture. It really gave me a lot to think about in terms of the uses to which that can be put and the way it becomes operationalized through translation, through its use in localization for software and similar sorts of things. Indeed, it starts raising questions for me about as you start constructing models, machine learning models, for example, based off of data, how does the constraints on the use or the creation of those machine learning models get inherited from the underlying data itself? So I think I'm very grateful for that that really different look at the governance issues involved in managing such data and curating it. As we go beyond that, I would just extract out three little themes that I heard through the meeting. One was the continued importance of data management plans as a sort of a central tool here. And I saw some very interesting discussion of questions, for example, of how one might integrate them better with electronic lab notebook facilities, which I see increasing uptake of in the last year or two, at least in the States. There's a long thread around FAIR. Basically, everybody agrees FAIR is a wonderful idea. Everybody also seems to be recognizing more and more just how challenging it is to operationalize. And we now are starting to see more and more conversations at a disciplinary level about how do I apply FAIR principles within the context of the kind of data that my discipline works with. The final thread, which I just want to highlight, is around one of the fundamental themes of this data, of this conference this year, which was data quality management, and trust-related issues. And the last session before this closer that I attended was themed around that. And I thought it was a really good session. And I just want to highlight a couple of the issues here. The first is that there's really no consensus definition that I'm aware of about what constitutes data quality. In fact, it is enormously multidimensional. And I think that there is some potential disagreement about what really is in scope in managing data quality. There's a certain sense in which addressing data quality takes you face to face with issues around reproducibility, replicability, the accuracy of your documentation of data and computation, and indeed whether your data and your computational tool is in correspondence with your text. If you're publishing an article that is backed up by data and computation. How aggressively you move with that, move on that is really unclear. And certainly the costs get very high. And at a certain point, it begins to also merge into the refereeing process. At the same time, I think you can also make a compelling case, as did a number of presenters, that data quality is inextricably tied with reproducibility and consequently with public trust in the scholarship. So I think there's a lot to unpack here, and I think that it's very timely that this conference emphasized this emerging question of data quality. There are many, many dimensions to it, and I think it would be very valuable for us to explore that further. So that's all I have to add, and I look forward to seeing many of you next year, I hope, as I say, in person. This has been a wonderful day, and thanks for joining us. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks so much for that, Cliff. And I'm really glad, I think in a few of your reflections there, you've commented on things that perhaps we need to look at more closely and look at further. And if that's going to help inspire people to bring some offerings to IDCC next year, we'll really look forward to that. Thanks, as always, for those observations. So I've just got a few practical things to share now, and some words of thanks. So hopefully now again you can see my slides. So first, to speakers, be sure to put your slides in the Zenodo community. We should have already given you information on how to do that. The sessions have been recorded. Those recordings are going to be available via this platform for the next 60 days. And we are going to capture them, and they will eventually be available on YouTube. They're not available instantly. There is a delay of some sort, probably of the order of 24 hours or so, but do look out for them. Over the next few days, on the homepage of this platform that you've joined, the Juno platform, IDCC is going to appear to disappear, as it were, as the RGA plenary takes center stage. It is actually still accessible via that little more drop down if you look for it. Once the plenary is over, the menus will all come back. It may sound confusing, but it won't be. We've got everything. I'd like to reassure you that. Don't forget that on conference tomorrow, I see there's some links already been shared in the chat. There's still time to shape what will happen there. Go and look at the home pages on the DCC website to find the links to do that. That's running tomorrow afternoon, our local time, tomorrow morning or evening for some of you. Give us feedback. Again, we always ask for this. We do take note of it. It's the only way we can improve what we do, and we're really grateful for those of you who take the time to do it. And follow up on what engaged or inspired you today, whether it's reaching out to somebody to make a connection, whether it's imitating or adapting something you've heard, whether it's simply commenting on it. And do come back in future years and tell us about what happened. That's what makes events like this. So thanks. There's a whole bunch of people I want to thank. I really need to begin with Diana Sisu, the conference organizer. Many of you will have had contact with her. She's been working so hard, as have so many others, over the past weeks and months to make this event what it is and to adapt it to this new platform. To Alex, who's mainly engaged with organising the IDA plenary, who I promised this year wouldn't have to deal with IDCC, but she has stepped in nonetheless to assist. To all the rest of my colleagues at DCC who've been helping right from the time of the call for papers and thinking through to providing some of the backup and moderation in the sessions. To the programme committee and the reviewers who helped us put together the call, who spent their time providing really useful and constructive feedback on the submissions. I'm always really pleased by the sort of engagement we get from our reviewers. I think so different from the sort of comments one often hears. To the authors, to the speakers, to the session chairs, of course. To our sponsor, LibNova, who I hope a few of you had the chance to engage with, and to CNI, have been a great supporter of this event since its inception. Thanks you to Cliff and your colleagues there at CNI. So it's time to say farewell, I'm afraid. Thanks to all of you who joined us, and particularly, I mean, it's been so much comment in the chat, and I've seen on Twitter as well. So many of you who've joined us at what's a really unsociable time. Amy, at some point you're going to have to tell us how you managed to get up there in top of the engagement despite that early rising. That'll be a secret you can share in future years. I'd normally be announcing where and when the next IDCC is going to be taking place. Now we don't have that news yet, but we will be sharing something with you soon. Who knows what form it's going to take or how or where, but look out, there will be an IDCC 22 in some form. In the meantime, enjoy, join in with the unconference. Those of you who are going to be at the IDA plenary, we've all got a busy week ahead of us. Thank you so much and goodbye.